This Fleet Equipment Unscripted interview is presented by Hendrickson, a leading manufacturer of heavy-duty suspension systems and components to the global commercial transportation industry. Visit hendrickson-intl.com to learn more.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jason Morgan, editor of Fleet Equipment, and welcome to Fleet Equipment Unscripted. Have something a little different for you today. We've got the leadership of Navistar After Sales with us. We're doing a two-part conversation here, so you're going to get a part here. And then tomorrow we're going to post a different part, and we'll interlink them all so you can watch them. But today we're talking with Joe Kory, Senior Vice President of After Sales, Chintan Sopariwala, Group Vice President of Parts, and Mark Reiter, Vice President of Service, all with Navistar, parent company of International Trucks. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time to join me.
Pleasure to be with you.
All right, guys, we have a lot to talk about here. Great to catch up with you and see you. Let's dive into the service end of things. So far this year, we're about halfway through the year at this point. What are the biggest after sales trends that you're seeing so far, and what's really happening at the dealer service level?
So I'll start with that, Jason, and let me say it's great to be with you today. And really, I would say when I look at after sales and what we're kind of focused on today, I'll really characterize it in two different areas. One, the very short-term, immediate post-COVID impact on the supply chain. So I think that's something that's not unique to us, and the whole industry is dealing with supply shortages. And how do we take care of our customers? We're dependent on our suppliers and those parts to really help us drive uptime for our customers. We have used uptime as a differentiator for us and our brand, and so it's very important that we get through some of these supply issues and be able to provide the parts into the dealer service shops and take care of our customers. So a very short-term, immediate, kind of thing with uptime and supply. But there's a lot of bigger things that we're thinking about right now, and trends that we're seeing, and things that we're doing to get prepared for the future. And when I think about some of those things, we think about our digital transformation, and how do we make ourselves easier to do business with for our customers? What kind of simple, easy to use tools can we put out there? How do we use data and really use our technology and systems to really drive kind of our interaction with both our dealers and our customers of the future?
Right.
We're also thinking about electrification, and we've just recently launched our first electric buses. We've got electric trucks launching later this year. How do we prepare our service network and get ready for the new parts that we'll need to install, the new tools that we'll need to use at our dealerships, all the things that we'll have to do differently, and the training and everything that goes into that. We're also thinking about connectivity, and when I think about connectivity, it's how do we use data to offer solutions to our customers? How can we use it to be more predictive and prescriptive about our maintenance and our service, and do things before they break? And how do we get to a point in our service shops where all repairs are scheduled? We're not waiting for things to break down before we fix them. We're also looking at total cost of ownership, and that's something that all of our customers talk to us about, and they all define it differently as well. So we're listening to our customers, we're understanding what they need, and we're responding so that we can be the total cost of ownership leader in the industry. We know a lot of changes coming in after sales, and we're thinking about what are the new business models and offerings that we can provide to our customers? How do we drive value through services, not just products?
Right.
A lot of these things that are going to impact our future. Now, you mentioned what's going on at the dealers, and really, I'll summarize that into, how do we continue to drive uptime for our customers? How do we make our dealers better? So how do we drive their diagnostics abilities? How do we help them solve customer problems? How do we help them with accelerated service plans so that they can truly deliver repair velocities that are best in class? And then the other thing that I think we all know is going on is shortage of technicians that's out there.
Right, right, for sure. A lot to unpack there too, and we're going to get to all that. I mean, you mentioned electrification. Definitely, there's a lot of buzz now, and as equipment is rolling out, now it's kind of we're waiting to see if the proof is in the ROI pudding here, so to speak. If fleets will pick it up and run with it. Still questions on some of the infrastructure things that are coming down the line. One of the things I do want to talk about, you mentioned the technician shortage, and you mentioned all the changes that'll happen potentially in after sales and service when these things come rolling down the line. Before diving into the technology side, what is the current situation on the technician shortage? How are you approaching it with your dealership partners and getting qualified technicians in the bays and holding on to them?
Let me take that one. And Jason, thanks again for having us. Looking forward to the conversation. And as I start this, I mean, I guess it is important to acknowledge that, we want to thank our technicians for continuing to work throughout the pandemic, right? They're essential workers. While a lot of us transitioned to our home offices, they did not, right? You have to be in the bay to fix trucks. So we want to thank them for their efforts. But yeah, the shortage of technicians is industry-wide. One of the things that we've looked at some survey data from Carlisle, and we're seeing 30% turnover in technicians at dealerships, right? Higher than you'd see in any kind of other environment. So we're taking an approach that really it's multifaceted. We're thinking about how do we recruit new technicians? How do we retain the technicians that are already at the dealership? So, drive that turnover rate down. And then what do you do to get them trained, right? Once you get them into your dealerships. And, from an attraction perspective, one of the things that we've just launched a new program called Service Allies. It's really focused on, military personnel who are returning. A lot of these folks worked on equipment when they're in the military, so they have a lot of skills. So how do you match them up with dealerships where they can, jump right in and really be a productive member of that workforce quicker? One of the key things that we think about as we're looking at is to match up technicians who are returning where they want to live. So that's one of the ways to keep them there. One of the things that we've struggled with over the years is if a technician moves to a new geographical area, they want to move. A lot of those folks want to go home at some point, and so you just contribute to that turnover. So getting a match where they want to be, I think, is really important from a military perspective. Also we have dealers that are partnering with local high schools, local trade schools to really get this younger crop, the next generation of folks who want to come in and we have some of our larger dealer groups have a goal to have every one of their locations have a partnership with a local school to really get people in and find out how we fill these ranks of people who are going to be retiring or moving on or leaving the industry for whatever reason. And as we do that goes hand in hand with the new program that we've launched, Uptime Academy, where we take those folks and we roll them into a apprenticeship program where they rotate between hands-on classes in one of our facilities and then time in the dealership working, generating revenue for the dealership, putting those skills to use. We have our first class that's launching. We're really excited to be able to hopefully get technicians from this, very basic, I can do oil changes, to a full-fledged, I'm able to be productive and work on any job in the shop in a really quick period of time. And then the last thing I would just mention is, when you think about turnover, we've looked at data, from specific to Navistar, international dealers, when technicians leave. And we've also seen industry data as to, why they're leaving. Why do people leave the dealership? Why do they leave the industry, or do they go to another location, maybe under another nameplate? Why do they do that? And we're working with our dealer advisory committees to put plans in place to kind of stem the tide. We really want these folks to, we want to have a lower, 30% is too high of a turnover rate. We want to be leading the industry. We want to lower that number.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and going back to your point about partnering with schools too, I know we talk about it a lot. I write about it every day. We talk about it together about just how much technology is going into the trucks, right? And getting over the perhaps old stigma of trucks being, you know, a dirty job of wrench turning, whereas right now there's so much electronic control, so much really cool technology, and just exposing younger people to that. In a lot of ways our industry is leading the technology charge in transportation, and it's really cool to see. I mean, it's cool for me to see and write about it. It's cool for them to work on. All right, so getting the technicians in the bays is one thing. Making sure you're getting the trucks in and out for the uptime, definitely important. The last component of that, or at least one of the most important parts, right? In after sales and service, it's always right part, right place, right time. What's going on in the parts world? What are you doing within the organizations to meet those parts demands and increase expectation?
So I'll take that one. Jason, what I can tell you, first of all, is it's always good to talk to you. This time from the corporate headquarters as opposed to doing it from my home office like last time. So
That's right.
thank you for having us on the show. These are exciting times to be in the aftermarket space. We recently announced just second quarter results. And as you know, we had about 18% growth on a year-over-year basis on revenues and 31% at a profit level. Now, how did this happen, right? This was fantastic performance. I think it all comes down to two things. Number one is we have the best team, along with an outstanding dealer network and dealer partners out there, right? Together, we are all focused on the three items. Number one, it comes down to customer centricity. And, Joe and Mark, they talked about Uptime, TCO. Number two, it comes down to innovation. And then I'll share something a little bit more around that. And then number three, it comes down to productivity improvements in the business. What I can tell you is we are currently piloting a new RIM system, retail inventory management system.
Okay.
And we are the first OEM to use vehicle telematics data, connectivity data on a real-time basis. So we know which vehicles are operating in which AOR. And based on that, we will be proactively stocking parts at both our distribution centers and our dealerships, even though there has not been any prior demand. So this is what we call predictive stocking. This is going to be a game changer. So that's number one. The other thing I can tell you is we are also at the same time aggressively expanding our retail store footprint. In fact, this year, we will be doubling the number of retail stores that we have out there. Along with that, we recently launched a brand new line of class 2 to 5 products called Diamond Advantage. And I can tell you the excitement has been tremendous. Along with this Diamond Advantage, we will now be offering a complete breadth of class 2 to class 8 product lines. You can buy them from, of course, the Navistar dealer channel. The Diamond Advantage will also be available, through some of the WDs out there. In terms of investment, we continue to invest more into the distribution centers. Our goal is faster delivery and improving the frequency of the delivery, getting closer to the customer. Even today, Jason, we allow our customers to order parts until 11 p.m. Eastern time, and they get it next morning before 8 a.m.
Right.
At the same time, we know that electrification is coming, and it is coming fast. I'd like to think of ourselves as we are no longer in just the hardware business. We sell hardware and software. That's where the industry is going, right? So, and by software, I'm talking about software solutions that drive real, tangible productivity improvements for both the driver and the fleet. So again, exciting times to be in the parts business. Of course, there are a lot of supply chain challenges across the industry, but the backlog has never been so strong.
No, for sure. And that the point on the software is really interesting too. And I know it's early days of electric trucks, and we have some idea of what the rollout will be, but we're still not sure of what it means 8 to 10 years from now when those trucks, are hitting life cycle, right? And to your point about the software, which I find really interesting, just of how much software control we see it on the diesel side. The onboard computer is able to set those parameters for how the engine operates. And now when you have a fully electric powertrain, the the options there within the software of how it operates, everything from regenerative braking to to the launch speed and everything in between. It's really amazing. So that will, I assume, be continued service improvements just as my phone updates every day, right? as we learn more. Gentlemen, I have 1 million more questions. We're going to dive into those in part 2, talking more about technology. I want to thank you for taking the time, and we will see everyone on the next post.